Hello everyone, so I really wanted to film this plan with me earlier, but honestly I was struggling super bad with the painting portion of this video, so that's why this one is a bit later than usual. But yeah, I hope you still enjoyed either way, so go ahead and get yourself your favorite drink and let's get into it. So as you could see, I did another painting. Now it's been quite a while since I actually did like a traditional painting, but I kind of had this picture in my head of what I wanted, and at first I really couldn't get it right, but eventually I think it actually turned out pretty great. I'm using acrylic paints today, and because I really didn't want this painting to go wrong, I actually did a digital sketch first on my iPad, and basically I just wanted to have kind of like this flowery field, and for the actual painting I just kind of sketched out very roughly where everything would go, just so that I have a bit of a guide. And then I just started off with the background, so I painted the sky this very like light muted blue, and I also made sure that the bottom part is a bit lighter than the top, because if you look at the horizon it's usually lighter because of the atmosphere and everything. Next up I did like the general shape of the mountains, and again when an object is further away there's always a bit of like a blue shift, and there's also going to be less contrast, so that's just something to keep in mind. For the field I'm first painting a layer of this very like bright yellowish green, which is going to be kind of the base, and then I can add shadows on top of it. And the shadows are basically there to make it look a little more like three-dimensional and not just like flat. And I think it just makes it look like there are some hills that are casting shadows on the field here and there. And again, the foreground is going to be a bit darker and just have more contrast than the background. So I'm darkening the grass in the front a bit, and I also decided to add the shadow of the tree that I'm going to be placing on the left side. So yeah, that kind of also indicates the light source, so the sun would be coming from the top left in this case. I also tried to include some hue variations, so there's some more like yellowish grass and some more bluish tones here and there, and I think it just makes it look more exciting. Then once I was happy with the basic shades of the grass, I quickly just blocked in the tree trunk. And again, since the light is coming from the top left, there is not going to be a lot of light that's going to hit the side of the tree, so I made sure to paint it quite dark. And I also quickly painted some of the leaves, which get a bit lighter and more saturated towards the edges, but I repainted them a lot later on. And then began the process of actually adding details. So I went in with a smaller brush first and tried to make like thin lines to imitate the kind of grass look, and I actually ended up using a bigger brush just because this one wasn't really picking up the paint too well. But yeah, I think the trick to painting the grass like this is just start from the back and then overlap the strokes towards the front, so that it gives it a lot of like dimension. And then most importantly, what made like the biggest difference in my opinion is that I used my white gel pen to make many little dots to represent the flowers. And as you can see, I tried to kind of keep them mostly in clusters, which if you look at some references, that's usually how flowers tend to grow. Of course, I also added some scatter dots, but only a few. After the middle ground was pretty much done, I focused again on the foreground, so defining the grass in the shadow of the tree and also adding the flowers in the very front. I wanted some flowers under the tree as well, but since they're in the shade, I actually didn't use my gel pen for them, and instead I just mixed up like a very muted light-ish green and kind of flicked my brush first for some random spots. You need like a lot of water and just a little bit of paint for that, and then I went in with a brush afterwards, which I think worked pretty well. And lastly, I just painted the leaves of the tree again, so I made them a bit bigger, and again I made them quite dark towards the left, and then getting brighter and a bit more saturated just towards the edges, where the leaves would kind of catch some of the sunlight. So then I just had to wait a bit to make sure the paint was completely dry, and then I went and peeled off the tape, which did rip up a little bit of the paper here and there, but it really wasn't too bad. If your tape tends to really rip up the paper really bad, I would recommend kind of sticking it down on a different surface before using it. So yeah, here's just a little close-up of the painting. I'm actually really glad I kept going with it because you can always just add paint if something doesn't look right. You can always repaint it and everything. But yeah, I think it turned out really great, and yeah. So next up I made a scan, and then I wanted to add a title in Procreate. So that's what I'm doing here. I just think it's kind of easier to play around with the placement that way. And I also made some other stickers, which I actually didn't end up using at all. So I'll just show you which ones I did use and which ones will be up on my Etsy shop as well, if you want to get them for yourself. Also, if you have any ideas on like what different stickers you would want me to make, or prints or anything like that, definitely leave me a comment. And I'll do whatever I can. So yeah, and this is the first kind of design that will be up on my shop. I'll make it all like customizable as always. I also made this rectangle for like titles and stuff like that. I also just wanted to show you a really quick like flip through for those of you who haven't seen my last videos. So I did a cherry blossom theme, which I think was pretty cute. And then finally I started on the left page, where I originally thought that I would use like the calendar sticker I made, but I actually didn't really like the look of it. So I did keep the other sticker. I'm just writing a little reminder that says, "Today I will not stress over things that are out of my control." And then I'm just removing the sticker, which is actually surprisingly easy. And then I just made the calendar in a different style. All throughout the spread I'm going to be using this bluish light gray, and then also 2 shades of kind of a muted green. And as always, I'll leave all the colors and everything that I used in this spread down below. Next up, I rounded off 2 of the edges of the painting and carefully peeled off like some of the backing, just so that I can stick it down slowly and not just all at once. And then here are the 2 shades that I mentioned before. So I'm adding a border all around the left side, just to kind of tie it into the color palette of the painting. So yeah, here's another little close-up, and then let's just move on to my next page, which is going to be a monthly planning section. So first I'm making another small calendar, just to kind of plan out stuff like workouts, Instagram posts and so on. I will probably just use like a color code, or maybe I'll even do like different icons. I just think it's kind of useful to have like a very rough overview of your month that way. And again, I'm using a combination of those 3 colors, and I'm also adding these leaf doodles, which you're gonna see all throughout this setup. So to the left, I'm using one of the stickers for the title, and I just wrote May on it in white. And then the lower half of the page is going to be dedicated to my kind of planning sections. So I'm doing the same sort of style for all of them, which is the gray for the title, the dark green as a border, and then the lighter green for like the plant doodles, and then also for a line in between the sections. So I just have the usual sections like goals, tasks, events, and notes. On the right page, I'm also adding a YouTube and Instagram growth tracker on the top, just in the same style. And then underneath I had some space, so I wrote a quote that says, "It's okay to worry, it means you care." Then I also wanted to add my habit trackers, so I used that rectangular sticker as the title, and again decorated the sides with the leaf doodles that I did before. And for the actual habits, I did the same sort of layout that I usually do, so it's just the shape of the calendar where I can just fill out a square for every day. Lastly, I just did some more doodles, and then let's move on to my first weekly spread of May. First, I again made a small calendar just as an overview, and for this weekly spread I wanted to try a bit of a different layout. So basically I'm gonna have 2 days underneath each other and then 2 next to them, but at a different height. I hope that makes sense, but I think you'll see what I mean. I just made them in the same style as my planning sections. And then on the bottom left I made a little hydration tracker, but unfortunately my camera died at some point, but you'll see it at the very end. So then I just added the other weekdays on the right page, and on the top right space that I have, I'm adding a weekly task section, and then I also did the same sort of style for a little Etsy shop section on the bottom left. Last but not least, I'm using one of the other circular stickers to just add a bit of color, and that's basically it. So even though this video was a bit late, I hope you enjoyed it either way and maybe got inspired for your own bullet journal. So as always, here's a little flip through. I think this month might actually be my favorite I ever did. Definitely let me know which one is your favorite so far and what kind of themes you would like to see me do next. But anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!